was that the food of African people. Slave food. The food that we find most satisfying. The food that we find that sticks to our ribs. The food that we call down home. A food that we learned to eat in the quarters. And yet we dare say that we have escaped slavery. That we have nothing to do with those people back there. That was back there. When our whole very social life and social relationships, our very definition of ourselves as a people, our very attempt to commune with ourselves is mediated by the food of slaves. What kind of God do you worship? Who taught you to praise him? Was this the God you were praying to before you were brought to these shores? Was this the religion you had before you were brought to these shores? How can you then define yourself, the very essence of yourself, and the very essence of your soul, and organize the very nature of your life here on earth, based on a God handed to us by a slave master?
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. This is Damon K. Jones, and what's up, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Tonight, I thought I would come on tonight and we would have a real quick conversation. I don't even think it's going to take long unless we're going to have comments. I know this is not my usual night to come on, but I figure I just wanted to come on since, we have been bombarded with Donald Trump. So like we have been bombarded with Donald Trump. And the fact of the matter is, man, we have been bombarded with Donald Trump for almost a decade now, I believe. Since he came down that escalator, and a lot of people thought that what he was doing was actually, some type of game, and what he actually did was he pulled off something that many people thought he wasn't going to do, and it shocked the world. And by no means am I praising Donald Trump, but as someone who questions always the intentions of this political system and what they do, they always have the people over here while they're actually doing something over here, and I think in New York, I think the only people that have legitimate beef, now other people can, but from my understanding, the only people that have legitimate beef is Exonerated 5. Is Exonerated 5. They have beef with Donald Trump, and they should have beef because a man called, I believe he called them to see the death sentence for something later on they were found innocent of doing, and to the point of fact that once they were found innocent, the press reached out to Don, and he doubled down on his bullshit. Absolutely, they have legitimate beef. Whatever they give Donald Trump, Donald Trump deserves it. He deserves it 100%. But my whole thing is, I am worried about this being a distraction to the issues of the Black community. Because if you look at the Black community, and if we're being honest, a lot of us are not going to be honest. I want us to be honest. If we're going to be honest about the conversation, we're going to be honest. Everything that they throw at Donald Trump was here before Donald Trump decided to come down that escalator and announce that he was running for president. Racism was here, bigotry was here, right? So what? What happens when you take him out? Is racism and bigotry going to change? Is the black community going to get a Donald Trump lotto card? No. You know, and as black people, we should be taking back how they use the justice system to go at him, but they can't put police in jail that shoot unarmed black men and women. You could frame it whatever you want. I've been in law enforcement for 33 years, and I never seen this fervor. The only time I seen this fervor over somebody is when the political system don't want them to be a part, don't want them to win. And I could say that for a fact because Janet DeFiore, the former district attorney of Westchester County, did it to me. But she couldn't get an indictment on me. She wanted to. She had so many investigators going through Mount Vernon and trying to get me on signature fraud. So I know you could be wide open. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is innocent. Not at all. I'm not defending him, but I understand when they don't want you to be a part of this political system, they figure out shit to get you out. You know, and black communities through New York State, the AG will come into New York State and there's no black community, there's no police department that police the black community that's immune to police violence against black people. But she'd rather talk about Donald Trump. And we go for that. We go for that. So I asked the question, what does the black community get out of it when you see all the social media influencers posting his mugshot like we won something? We didn't win anything. Black community is not changing. It hasn't changed since John F. Kennedy. Actually, it got worse since John F. Kennedy. So why are we here acting like we won something? We need to start paying attention to how the world views America. It's a distraction. And think about this. After all the indictments, CNN reported he's still only 3 points behind Biden. If they had the election next month, it would be too close to call. So what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we wasting all the taxpayers' money for? What are we doing? And, you know, the one in Georgia, hell, Donald Trump probably will raise more money than the state of Georgia will spend on the case. And you know what happens when you got more money than the actual municipality to spend on the case, right? You usually get off. You usually get off. OJ proved that because he spent more money on his legal team than Los Angeles spent on their district attorneys. But at the end of the day, what do we get out of it? Somebody asked somebody, you know, the New York Times put up something and they said, well, you know, he's the threat to democracy. How hypocritical can it be in New York State when New York State refused to have open primaries? So if you're not affiliated with Democrats or Republicans, you can't vote in a primary. If you want to be an independent, you can't vote in New York State. How is that democracy? See, we become so hypocritical. And it says something to our mindset. See, the name of this show is The Health Mindset. Because we don't think correctly. So sister says, so it's definitely a distraction. Fanny Willis is nothing more than a puppet. She's being used like Scott tissue. There's a story coming out that she has a child for one of them YSL dudes, and their lead man is on trial now, a RICO case. See, I mean, I don't doubt it, right? But she's going to be up for election, so it's good to push this out, And then Tish James want to come through Black communities in New York, and she does nothing on police reform. She literally does nothing. You had a whole group led by Kenneth Chamberlain Jr., my brother, had a whole group, wrote her a letter to review all the cases. She didn't even respond. Her office didn't even respond to the letter. But yet she want to talk about Trump. Nobody gives a shit about Trump in the Black community, in the hood. Nobody cares about Trump because their conditions hasn't changed. Even before Trump, their conditions didn't even get better under Obama. You want to be honest. See, we don't want to have honest conversations. Black communities ain't get better. Black communities didn't get better. They're still worse. You got some elected officials, acting like children. Just because this man got elected. But what are you doing? What are you doing in your district? When your district is catching hell. So many young Black men got mugshots, but you worried about Trump's mugshots. Donald Trump is not going to a day in prison. Tish James is a puppet as well. And watch what happens to her. They are all distractions. Trump is far from the problem. They are the problem, and their puppet master is the main problem. And this is far reach of being, and I want to make it clear. This is far reach in being in support of Trump. But this is just saying, let's not fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Let's not fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe, leaded by a lot of these leaders, these Black leaders. Leaded by a lot of these Black leaders. Oh, hey, D, I had to go on my phone to see who you was, and your face wasn't coming up. And you're absolutely correct, D. But let's not fall for this. Let's stay on point, Black people. Let's question why our school systems are in shambles. Let's question why there's no economic development in Black communities. Huh? Let's question why crime is out of control in Black communities. Let's question how these These asylum seekers can get housing faster than Black homeless people and Black veterans in our communities. Let's not get twisted. Let's not get twisted. They got us worried about Trump, and poor Black people that are in unions can't get livable contracts. Come on, man. Don't give me this craziness. We gotta regroup our thinking. We're still thinking like slaves. And a lot of these Black leaders are being paid to shepherd us into slavery. I heard Myron Golden say that you cannot fix income equality if you're not teaching people how to earn and own assets. Legislation does not fix income inequality. Assets. Having assets fixes income inequality. And the fact that Black people spend $1.6 trillion a year on bullshit, on clothes, on pocketbooks, on shoes. That's what we spend our money on. $1.6 trillion. And the fact that we spend all that money and we still don't have a Black toilet paper company. So if the white man disappeared tomorrow, we couldn't even wipe our stinking ass. We won't even have a phone because we don't even own a Black cell phone company. Can't even print those books because we don't own a Black printing company. Exactly. I wish I had Dr. Claude Anderson when he talked about, I'm going to try to pull it up, where Dr. Claude Anderson talked about the pyramid of power. And one thing we don't do is we don't buy our politicians. We don't buy our politicians. We don't even do that. Every other ethnic group buy their power. Every other ethnic, we have been kissing the dimping on each other to be exactly. We don't buy our politicians. I guarantee you, you go to any Black politician and pull up their donations. And a lot of them I got love for, but I'm just keeping it 100. We don't buy them. Other people buy them. That's why other people can build in our community. That's why other people are building buildings in our community, and there's hardly no Black construction company building in Black communities because they're buying the politicians. And if they're not buying them, they're renting them. We don't even do that. You don't see Ray Junebug on, and anybody can just go to the New York State Board of Elections and pull up the donations and see who's actually donating to your politicians. See who's donating to them. And then once you see who's donating to them, you see who controls them. Because Jesus said, the one who pays the piper calls the tune. And that's true. That's so true in politics. You know, I said years ago when I was living in Mount Vernon, and Reggie Lafayette, God bless the dead, he was talking about Republicans this and Republicans that. And I went on the radio show like, there's not one Republican pissing in my hallway or breaking in my car. How are you going to use that to get me all hyped up to vote for somebody? Oh, you don't want to vote for but the Republicans are not doing that in the hood. It's who we vote for that's causing our conditions. It's who we vote for is causing our conditions. It's not a Republican. If you live in the Black community, there's no Republicans. Show me a Republican that's breaking in your car. Show me a Republican that's pissing in your hallway. Show me a Republican that's shooting on your block. It's no Republicans. And I'm not defending Republicans at all. I'm just making an observation. So when they use that for you, you'll think differently. Because we have to change our mindset in order to change our community. And just like the way just like the way Republicans use the poor masses of Republicans to blame people of color for what they don't have. Democrats do the same thing to Black people. You'll have a better life if it wasn't for the Republicans. Yeah, but they ain't been a Republican in office for 60 years in my community. So how is the Republican responsible for the conditions of my city that's run by a Democrat? Huh? I mean, we got to figure that out. But it's really nothing to figure out. It's just we just don't ask the right questions. Oh, Republicans don't like police oversight. Yeah, but if you got a Black mayor, you got a Black commissioner, why you still got police brutality? Or if you got a Democratic mayor who appoints a commissioner, and there's still police brutality, what's the problem? Can't be Republicans is the problem. Huh? Like we're still waiting for Democratic-run cities in Westchester to have active CCRBs with subpoena power. I was just doing my website, and I'm not sure if it's still. I was doing my website. I was updating my website, right? So I didn't put a date on it. So we met with the Mount Vernon City Council. We met with the Mount Vernon City Council on Civilian Complaint Review Board at least 7 years ago. And they still haven't passed one yet. It's it was myself, Kenny Chamberlain Jr., and we went, and it was back when Johanna Edwards was on the city council. That's how far back we're talking. We started about 7. Johanna left maybe 4 years ago, I think, 5. And we're still, and they still haven't put it together. And he's gone. Like What it takes so long? What takes so long? You can't blame Republicans for that. You can't blame Republicans. You know, we like to say, then I was watching the sister on when Larry Elder was on I think the Breakfast Club, and the sister was saying the system. Yeah, but you know, when you put black people in the system and they don't do what they're supposed to do, then it's your fault because you don't vote them out. So what's the point of voting for black people? If the system can't be that strong, if you put people in there, Michelle Alexander in the new Jim Crow said the same thing. She said there was over 60 years of legislation and laws that was passed, and we had black elected officials, we had black judges, we had black attorneys, we had black this and black that, and first black this and first black that, first black this, first black that, and they did absolutely nothing to stop the new Jim Crow. They were supposed to be in that position to fill the gap and stop what happened. But they didn't do it. You can't say the system when you had black people in the system that we fought for to get in there. Then when they get the position, they do nothing. Then it becomes our fault, right? Because no good respecting Jewish person will be put in the position and not make sure that the laws that come across his desk ain't fair to his people. But we don't do that. No good respecting Irish person would allow laws to come across his desk that affect negatively on Irish people. No good respecting Italian person, no good respecting Asian person would allow legislation and laws to come across their desks that will negatively affect their people, but black people. You get mad at me, but that's in the Jim Crow. That's in the new Jim Crow. Because that's what she said. And that's what she proved. And we still do it again in 2023. So what do we get out of the indictment of Donald Trump? Absolutely nothing. So don't let them fool you that democracy has won. Democracy has not won. Especially in New York. Because you still have to be in a political party to even vote, to even choose to vote. Because by the time you get to the general election, you are given candidates to vote for. That's not democracy. That's not, thank you. That's not democracy. And let me tell you what else. Let me tell you what else New York did. To be a third party, to be a minor party, you used to only have to have 50,000 votes on the governor's election. So if a party wanted to be a state party, they get a candidate. If that candidate Usually they pick the incumbent because it's strategic to make sure they get the 50,000 votes to become a state party. Do you know that the Democrats raised it from 50,000 votes to 150,000 votes? Is that democracy? Is that democracy? Or is that stacking the deck to make sure there's no minor parties in New York State? I think that's stacking the deck. I don't think that's democracy. I don't think that's saying, let as many people take part in democracy in New York State. No, that's stacking the deck so they can have less minor parties. So don't give me democracy. Don't give me he was getting, because see, we begin to be hypocritical. And then when you called on it, we're the problems of the ones that call on it. No, absolutely not. So I think we have to reevaluate as Black people how we look at the political process. Because it's just not working. And this is just going to be another circus because he's going to kick the can down the road. You know, and Biden is just still three points ahead of Donald Trump, which is crazy. Well, let's watch how it play out. But let's not act like we won something. As I said in the beginning of this video, the only people I feel that has legitimate gripe, this is my opinion, is exonerated 5 because of what he said about them. And when given the opportunity to correct it, he refused to do it. They have a legitimate beef with that man. All this other stuff we're seeing is political fodder. It's wag the dog. And the question is, which we don't get into, and definitely MSNBC don't get into it, because I swear to God, you could watch and you could turn on MSNBC tonight and come back Sunday night at the same time, and they're still talking about the same shit. It's indoctrination. It's a straight up indoctrination. That's not news. That's not news. That's an indoctrination. That's when you sit and you watch something over and over and over and over and over and over. Every show, they're talking about the same, every show is the same thing. Dun, 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 dun. They're brainwashing you. Because every show, you watch MSNBC, every show, Trump, 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 Trump. Make you wake up. Make you wake up, start talking about Trump. Just ridiculous. I went to New Orleans. I checked in the room. I put on MSNBC. I said, oh my God, they're talking about Trump. It's been 2 hours. They're still talking about Trump. I left. Came back. They were still talking about Trump. Left again. Came back. They were still talking about Trump. They talked about Trump for the whole weekend. We're being brainwashed. Everything else is going on. Fires in California, kids being kidnapped, crazy stuff in New York. MSNBC, Trump, 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 Trump. It's crazy. So I'm saying, black people, man, let's not be caught in the matrix. Our communities have a lot of work to do, and we need to be focused on those who are in charge in our community, and let's not allow them and let's not allow them to let's not allow them to take us off the path. That's all I'm saying. That's it. Thank everybody that took time to watch. Please check us out on Monday, man. We're gonna have a great show on Monday, where we're talking about how does a black man choose a black woman. That's going to be great. And tomorrow, if you haven't signed up, please sign up. Definitely sign up on our webinar. And, everybody have a blessed day and enjoy, and peace out. Have a blacktastic evening. Remember, God is in your vegetables. Peace out.
What kind of food do you eat? You say soul food? Was that the food of African people? Slave food. The food that we find most satisfying. The food that we find that sticks to our ribs. The food that we call down home. A food that we learned to eat in the quarters. And yet we dare say that we have escaped slavery. That we have nothing to do with those people back there. That was back there. When our whole very social life and social relationships, our very definition of ourselves as a people, our very attempt to commune with ourselves is mediated by the food of slaves. What kind of God do you worship? Who taught you to praise him? Was this the God you were praying to before you were brought to these shores? Was this the religion you had before you were brought to these shores? How can you then, who define yourself, the very essence of yourself and the very essence of your soul, and organize the very nature of your life here on earth, based on a God handed to us by our slave masters?